Hello friends, and welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. Last week, episode 4 of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 premiered. It was called Forget Me Not, and these are my honest opinions about it. This episode is actually a huge improvement compared to the previous one. I actually cared about what is going on. What was going on wasn't very good or very entertaining, but at least it was stuff which was moving the plot forward, as in things which have a reason to be included in the finished product. This episode reduces drastically scenes of people talking about the plot over and over again, and instead actually shows us what is going on. So Adira, which is the annoying white bitchy chick from the previous episode, has a Trill symbiont. She knows she has it, and she says it was Senatal, but she doesn't have his memories. First of all, why is the symbiont as big as her? Have the creators of Discovery ever seen a Trill-related episode of Deep Space Nine? Also, what is the name of the Trill? It can't be Senatal, shouldn't it be Tal? Third, why is Adira not dead? Also, why does she have selective amnesia? Next question, why does the Discovery crew care about helping her? Seriously, what is actually their plan? Why are they in this century? Now, this episode splits into two pretty different storylines. The first one is about Adira, and it's the main story, even though it's clearly the less interesting one. The second one is Saru learning how to be a captain, or an adoptive father, or something. This is actually kind of interesting. Let's first talk about the Adira subplot. I'll be brief, because I don't really care about it. They want to go to the Trill home planet to help her regain her memories, so she beams down with Michael. Yes, Michael. They need to solve a medical problem, so of course it's not a task for the ship's medical officer, but for the science officer, which she apparently is. Even though I thought after the previous episode that she didn't want to return to her position, but no. Now apparently she's also a psychologist or something, so they meet a group of Trill who look like they're members of a cult. They are played by white men, which means that they're evil, of course. They don't want to help them, except for one guy who looks like what some people would call a quote-unquote beta male, who is of course the good one. They're all being led by a black woman. Sorry, I have a question. Why is every white man on these shows dumb or evil, and the only remotely good white men have to be constantly commanded by women? I assume this is their comment about toxic masculinity or some other non-existing BS, and they probably think they're being subtle about it. So the soft guy brings them to the cave, which looks almost like the one we have seen in Deep Space Nine. So Adira goes to swim into a pool of jizz. Her eyes look like she touched the one ring of power, and then she disappears. The Trill, who are specially trained to know what is happening in there, have no idea what is happening in there, so Michael goes after her, because of course it works on humans, and because Michael has never heard about the Trill or about the symbionts, she of course immediately recognizes what is going on in the new room. So there are tentacles everywhere, and they try to catch Adira. So is this some kind of a penis metaphor? But in the end she lets the tentacle touch her and she starts remembering. And even though I hate saying it, I have to address the elephant in the room. In the case you haven't noticed it yet, if I am pushed to a situation where I'm forced to choose between being politically correct and being honest, I usually choose the honest thing. That's why I have a new job every year. I'm sorry, but that's how I was raised. To be honest is mostly more important than being polite. Plus, I suck at lying, so being honest has another advantage. I don't have to remember all of my lies. I will try to be as precise as possible in this next part, but still I have a feeling that there will be people who will try to intentionally twist my words and give them a meaning which wasn't there. I believe in individualism. In other words, I don't care about things like your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your ethnicity, or any other of the hundreds of possible boxes people are putting themselves into. I don't care about any of this BS. I care about you as an individual. We now live in a weird time in which some, usually pretty far left individuals, desperately try to find somebody who they can hate. So for example, if person X says that he doesn't like a female character, these people will say that he hates all women. If person X says he doesn't like a black character, they will say he hates black people. If he says he doesn't like a gay character, he will be labeled as homophobic. Why am I saying all of these things? Because we meet another awful character. Awfully acted and awfully written. And if I said this about a straight white guy, nobody would give a damn. However, if I say it about a transgender person, I will be labeled as transphobic. To all of the normal people out there, it is possible to have no problems with transgender people, and also said that one specific transgender person is a bad actor playing a horrible role. Maybe this person will pleasantly surprise me later, but in this episode, this is clearly the worst actor we have seen so far. We meet, I think, transgender boy is the correct term for a person who is very obviously biologically female but self-identifies as a man. Now, I will try to use the male pronouns everywhere where it's needed. If I forget to do it in some places, I apologize. It won't be intentional. It's because this person looks very feminine. This person is Adira's boyfriend. He is the one who got the worm originally. He dies, so Adira gets it from him. And then they all materialize in front of Michael and Adira, all of the previous hosts. But I think Michael doesn't see the boyfriend, so they appear again in the pool of jizz. Evil white man apologizes for being evil, and Adira now has her memories, so she beams up, but there's a twist. She still sees her boyfriend, even though nobody else does. So yes, Adira is one insane bitch. The more interesting storyline finally addresses Detmer's mental problems from 2 episodes ago. Everybody from the crew desperately needs a psychiatrist, because suddenly they realize that they left all they ever loved behind. It's not like they made an intentional stupid decision in the last episode of the previous season, because the showrunners were sick of people like me complaining about the timeline, continuity, and so on. So Saru discusses this with the ship's computer, and the computer for a moment has also a second voice. And if I'm not mistaken, it is the voice of the AI from the short track called Calypso, which means that there was some good planning going on, and we kind of know what will happen to the crew this season. Anyway, the computer recommends to make them a huge dinner, or to show them Buster Keaton movies. So Saru tries the dinner, and now I'm absolutely serious. What follows is probably the best scene in the whole series so far. During the dinner, we see some nice acting. The whole sequence is character driven. There is no action, just pure interpersonal drama. I love this scene. It also shows that if these actors are given something interesting to do, they can deliver a good performance. I love Detmer's breakdown. It's extreme and subtle at the same time, which is really very hard to show without being stupid. Of course, it ends with a giant argument and they all rush out, so Saru comes up with plan B, Buster Keaton movies. And I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with the fact that they're in public domain now, and slapstick comedy is apparently the correct solution for their trauma. I'm not a psychologist, so I won't comment on that. Anyway, in the end, Adira gives them the coordinates of the new Starfleet headquarters, and they, for some reason, want to go there. This episode is so much better than the previous one, which is kind of funny, because in the last video I have complained that they were doing nothing, just talking most of the time, and in this episode the scene in which they talk about their feelings is my favorite scene so far. In this season, but maybe even in the whole series. The main difference is that in the previous episode we were talking about pointless crap, and in this episode they are giving us pretty important information about the main characters. And the acting is much better, of course. Please, more of this. The Trill plotline annoys me a bit. Will they visit every Federation-related planet and show us how bigoted and hateful they are? Well, after seeing the trailer for episode 5, I think we will see something like that even in the next episode. Why? What happened to the promised optimism? I'm sorry, but when I'm watching Discovery, Picard and Lower Decks, I don't feel like I'm watching Star Trek. I feel like I'm watching fan fiction of some mentally ill people, something like sociopaths or psychopaths, simply people with some very dark minds. Anyway, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is absolute garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 5 out of 10. One great storyline, one pretty bad storyline, so an average. But as always, these were just my opinions. Let me know what did you think about this episode down in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and see you very soon, hopefully on Monday. Bye.